Welcome back, nerdy movie fans. It's time to review Send Help.
Not doing Get Help.
Get help! Please! My brother's dying!
Now, this is sort of Sam Raimi's return to R-rated movies. There was speculation I remember seeing before this came out that it was going to be a horror movie. I guess I wouldn't say it really is. There are some shots that can be considered horror elements, but I didn't think this was a horror movie. It wasn't really scary. Maybe it was violent enough to count in some ways, but I generally wouldn't consider this a horror movie. But with that being said, it was really good. So you sort of have a classic trope of an employee and boss, they're bickering, and now they're thrown in a situation where they have to work together. So we've seen this slightly before, but it's rare. So to have this sort of style come back is really interesting. So in this movie, we have Linda, where she's supposed to get this promotion when this new boss comes in, but this new boss comes in and gives it to someone else who really doesn't deserve it at all. And as the story goes, in sort of the opening 10-15 minutes, it doesn't take very long to pick up where people who saw the trailers knew this was going, where they end up on this plane. So we have Bradley and Linda. These are our two main two characters. We have a few others on the plane as well, but when the plane ends up hitting a storm, ends up crashing into the ocean, the only survivors are Linda and Bradley. And so at this point in the movie, just I would say 15, maybe 20 minutes in, Linda's already been humiliated. She's been overlooked. People have been condescending to her. They've laughed at her behind her back. They've laughed at her right in front of her. She's been just absolutely bullied in every sense of the word at this point. And so having her boss as the only survivor, who's now has his leg is pretty beat up. It's not broken, but it's beat up. He's not going to be able to walk for days. And so he's now reliant on Linda for survival. And so what this movie does is an interesting blend of psychological survival versus physical survival. We have characters like Bradley, who eventually, when he comes to, because he's been out for a couple of days, he wants to find a way off the island. That's his first main and pretty much only priority. Where Linda, she just wants to survive. One of the moments where she's being bullied from the other characters is this audition tape for the reality show Survivor. And in this video, she's showing all these different skills she's learned and different things she can do. And in the video, they're just mocking her because it's a goofy video. But she has all these survival skills that will now come in handy in the present. So it just sort of works out like that. And so what's really interesting is this movie keeps twisting and turning. You think that when you see the trailer, there's a movie about them trying to understand each other until rescue comes. That's the assumption going into this movie, but that's not exactly how it turns out. And so we get a lot of back and forth between Linda and Bradley because Linda really enjoys this lifestyle because at home she doesn't really have much. She doesn't really have anything going for her. She is constantly overlooked and ridiculed at her job, but on this island, she's the boss. She makes all the rules. She controls the food store. She controls shelter. She is in control of everything.
Never, ever been happier!
On this island. And Bradley is in control of nothing. He's just, he goes from this arrogant young guy who giving promotions to random people to now he's the lesser on the totem pole as far as this island is concerned. And so their dynamic alone makes the movie interesting, but their dynamic isn't the only element to this movie. So the psychological part comes into play pretty much maybe halfway through when you realize Linda sees a boat passing by and she doesn't wave for help. She doesn't want help to come to the island because she likes being in control there. So now Bradley sort of becomes the victim because he could have gone home. And yeah, Linda would have had a crappy life at home, but Bradley's also just stranded on this island. So it really toys with your emotions where you don't know who to root for because Linda's the one that's been picked on, but now Linda's the one deciding for them to stay there. And so there are other opportunities where they could be rescued, but Linda keeps finding a way to keep her and Bradley there. So when Bradley eventually finds out that there were opportunities to escape. Now he's learning she is keeping him there. And so they're pretty much on a warpath against each other as we go toward the finale of this movie, where this is where all the violence takes place. This is where the gruesome moments are, where there's stabbing and there's eye poking. There's all that kind of stuff that you've seen in Sam Raimi's movies before. You get all that sort of in the last bit of this movie, and the ending is, I would say, it's a pretty interesting ending. I thought at first it could be left up to interpretation the way it ended, but in hindsight, no. What you see is what you get, and so it's the fact that the ending almost made you want to believe in another version of how it ended, I think just speaks to the cleverness of how it was written. So I enjoyed this. I thought it was pretty good. There was parts of the script where the characters are talking, some of their humor I found a little too corny for my taste. But I've also just come to expect that every now and then with a horror movie. So although I didn't care for some of the jokes and some of the dialogue at times, it wasn't enough for me to dislike this movie. It wasn't enough. It wasn't that bad. So if you get past that like I did, this is a really good movie sitting right in front of us. So I would say check it out. Go see it in theaters. It was pretty interesting. It was entertaining. It gets violent for sure. Aside from the corny jokes, there are genuine funny moments as well. And there are a few touches of spots of emotional moments too. So it, in a word, I guess has a little bit of everything. But yeah, check it out. Tell me what you think. Keep it digging, guys. Thanks for watching my review of this movie. Till next time.